Our webinar or seminar today. So our topic would be Investment 101. This is more of like a beginner's guide to investing, particularly during this pandemic. So, as we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic has drastically affected business operations in the country. This is following the enhanced community quarantine and other necessary public measures. The impact is documented in recent survey by the Department of Trade and Industry. It's about 26 of business have closed, with 52% remaining in partial operation. So the present pandemic has left many people sick and millions of people without jobs, not just in the Philippines, actually, but worldwide. Furthermore, political instability and social unrest have plagued parts of the world in weeks and months following the outbreak. Even as mandatory health restrictions are gradually relaxed, like what we have right now, we're currently in GCQ, in-person sales efforts may take longer to return. I think we already know that. So we already have a vaccine, but it it is still not helping the situation. So until it's fully implemented across the world and get more of like an immunity for everyone, then storefront traffic or sales event will remain really low as we have right now. And because of this, companies may need to adopt online sales strategies and digital marketing efforts to make for the loss. So as we all know, for a business to continue thriving, we have to continuously innovate and adapt to changes. So one of the critical character that a business needs to have is to be resilient in the changing needs, especially during this crisis. So our topic for today would be investment in. So we want to call it investment in because we will be discussing the latest ventures to invest during this pandemic. Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yes po.
All right,
Yes.
perfect.
Yes. Loud and clear.
Thank you. So I'll start off with, I think, the top uh, business investment that's really in these days. So as we know, the Philippines is a tropical country, and ice cold milk teas, coffees, and fruit drinks is really in demand during this summer. So I'm sure you guys have noticed that it's really hot, but we really haven't enjoyed summer because we haven't gone out of town or done anything to enjoy the summer. But it is summer right now. So why do we say that this number one homemade beverage, palamig or halo-halo, is really in demand? Because of the heat of the summer, and at the same time, you can start this business for as low as 500 pesos. So you just need to invest on, ingredients, purified water, containers, plastic bottles, and you're all set. We actually have a few of this in the village, and every day I would buy some halo halo for myself. So second would be home cooked meals. This is really in demand as well recently because of a lot of people working from home, and a lot of our students are studying from home. And for those who are working from home, they used to, I'm sure you can relate to this, we used to eat in the pantry. We do that in the office, but now that we're 80% 90% working from home, we really don't have enough time to cook. So this is the reason why this is going to be in demand if we get to start up this type of business. So the startup cost is 1,000 to 8,000 depending on the number of home cooked meals that you want to start with. And next would be cell phone loading business. So the items that you need to invest on when you start up this business would be, of course, a phone, a retailer SIM card, and a starting balance of 5,000. Not bad as well. So 5,000 to 8,000 would be your startup capital. So this is actually one of the easiest small business ideas that we can put up right now, because you don't have to have a physical store. You can do this from home, and you can earn around 3 to 13% per transaction. Do you guys have any questions so far?
Um,
Yes. Lucille, I just want to ask, are these business ideas still applicable once pandemic ends?
Definitely. So summer is always part of our season. Actually, sometimes it feels like summer even when it is. So for the Palamig, it's an all year round business, even without the pandemic. The only difference is that right now, most of these things would be delivered. But after the pandemic, then we would be able to enjoy, consuming this while in the store or in the area where we bought it from. Same thing with home cooked meals. Because a lot of people like myself do not have time to cook. So this is still in demand. Anything related to food will continue to thrive in the next few years, even after the pandemic. And load, as we all know, Filipinos cannot live with it without this. So yeah, thank you for that question, Jai.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll move on to the next one, piso vending machine. It's also one of the best ideas because of affordable internet. So as mentioned earlier, Filipinos cannot live without internet. And the main challenge is that the current pandemic left us with zero to less income. So it's really important that we get to avail of this service at a really low cost. So if you're going to invest in this type of this business, then you would need to invest on a hotspot device and an unlimited broadband. So your starting cost would probably be around 17 to 30,000. And this would still be in demand, although people will not be able to go to the store itself, or the capacity would be limited. We already have this Wi-Fi vending machine right now, unlike the usual PisaNet stores where you have like computers around the area. So since we have a lot of students right now studying from home and a lot of people working from home who cannot afford a regular broadband plan, then this would continue to thrive. Next we have on the list would be delivery or courier service business. This is what we call sorry, I don't want to name any delivery for, but similar to Lala Move and all that. So one of the most essential part of a business is not just to be able to sell quality products, but to be able to deliver it on time. And this is the reason why the delivery service is in demand right now, because a lot of the companies have switched over to a virtual store. Hence, delivery would be necessary to make on-time delivery. So the startup cost for this would be around 5,000 to 80,000. The range is quite wide because it really depends on what you want to invest on. So the smartphone or the computer would always be there, but it really depends on if you want to start up with a bicycle, a motorcycle, or a car. Then next we have personal shopping service. This is what we call more of like a shala type of shopping service. We call it pasabay as well. It's going to be in demand this pandemic because it's convenient and hassle free rather. Like for myself, I'm sure you can relate to it. We order a lot of things online because we are careful and we don't want to get sick. we don't want to expose ourselves outside. So instead of going to the malls or to the markets to buy anything that can be delivered or anything that we can ask someone to buy, then we would do that. The startup cost for this would be around 10,000 to 40,000. And you just need to invest on either a smartphone, a laptop, or a vehicle. Similar to the previous one, the range is quite wide as well because it really depends on the type of vehicle that you want to invest in. So as a personal shopper, if you want to go that route, you can earn between 10 to 15% of the total purchase price. Next would be our online fashion boutique. So the startup cost for this would be around 15,000 to 35,000. Um, Although not a lot of people get to buy clothes, shoes, bags, and accessories, this is still in demand, especially the beauty products. As we know, Filipinos would invest on beauty products even when they have to cut down on their budget for food just to stay pretty during the pandemic. So we can start off with this one using an online marketplace or social media market. And then you can sell products from beauty products, clothes, shoes, bags, accessories. Believe it or not, this is still one of the most sought after items of online shoppers, and I am guilty. So there. So the items that you need to invest on would be products for reselling. So whether that be RTWs, beauty products, and so on, camera, of course, or a smartphone, that will do as well. And of course, a stable internet connection. So this will replace the actual store that we have previously. So the stable internet is really important. So to give you some more details, let's say, for example, if you want to go with RTWs, you can get items from Taytay, Divisoria, and all that. And you can post this in social media like Facebook. We don't have you don't have to have like an online marketplace to start up with this one, but if you can set up your own website, then it would look similarly like Lazada, Shopee, and eBay. So now that we are done with what's in the investment, we're going to move on to investment out. So we say out because these are the business that we should not be venturing in during this pandemic. The first one on the list would be our sinful products. So this would be liquor and tobacco. So why do I say that? Because it's a sin product and it's not an essential item. The government has prohibited this. Actually, we have some liquor bans. So we still have a few people who, uh, what do you call this? Buy these products. But because a lot of people have lost their jobs, they are really focusing on essential items. So food, of course, water, and the things that you really need on a daily basis instead of smoke and liquors. The next that is out in the market or investment out right now would be school supplies. So as we all know, education has drastically changed to the online platform, and children are out of the classroom. Actually, it's over 1.2 billion children globally that are out of the classroom because we have to ensure their safety. And the Department of Education, as well as CHED, was able to um, rise e-learning activities and create digital platforms to replace the usual school supplies that they need. So I think some students would still need a pen and a notebook if they are really not comfortable with typing using Word or Excel and all that. But the demand is really low versus when we were on a regular school. Next would be accommodation and food service activities. So for food service, we already know that most of us are just staying at home and we just have items delivered at home. So restaurants are mostly closed. If they're not closed, they have limited capacity, or 80% would have takeout services only. Accommodation is something that have disseminated during the pandemic because of high or implemented strict health protocols. For those that are still open, they have limited capacity, and these are mostly private resorts where you would have to rent the entire place to ensure safety. It's not the usual public resorts where we can all go together as a group, or different people can gather together to enjoy the services. Similarly to that would be travel and tourism. So because of, well, we currently change the way we socialize, the way we eat, the way we go to work, we travel, and more. So for those who were able to travel this last year, then good for you. But limited places to go, and of course, strict health protocols. On top of that, we still have limited capacity. So this is actually one of the most challenged industry right now, because it has drastically moved down. So the Philippines is known to be, rich and diverse in terms of different attractions for different kinds of travelers. But because of the pandemic, this has really declined these days. And last but not the least would be amusement park and leisure businesses. Because it is non-essential, the government closed all amusement parks and leisure places. These activities are prohibited. So if you open one, then it would definitely not earn this pandemic. Why? Because it has high risk level. At the same time, actually not really limited capacity, but they have already closed down all of these items. And with the rate of the vaccines that we have right now, it might take a year or more for these to start opening. It would be a limited capacity. So therefore, your return of investment wouldn't really be that good if you venture into this type of business. So I'm just gonna show you. This is like a survey that we got from the Department of Tourism. So just to repeat what I said earlier in terms of tourism, as you can see, 76% is really a challenging market or business right now. So the next slide, sorry, shows us a few events that are gathered from EEMA survey. EEMA is a report of events and entertainment management associated to the last slide that I have shown earlier. So around 52.91 of the companies have shown decrease in income, and then around 7 companies to 80% retrenchment. I'm sure a lot of you guys know someone who have lost their job during this pandemic. On top of this, 63.1% companies suffered from revenue loss, up to 1 crore each. And around 97 companies will need to raise capital or debt after this season, unfortunately. So as we all know, the coronavirus pandemic is such a catastrophist event. It has prompted the Philippine government to impose not just the strictest, but the longest lockdown protocols in the world. So even after a year, we still have areas to get locked down. It has dragged the economy really low. Actually, it has resulted to the worst recession in history, not just in the Philippines, but globally. And in fact, some of the biggest and most stable enterprises resulted to job losses as well. All right, and with that, we'll move on to our Q&A session. For those of you who have questions, this is, I believe, the best time to raise them.
Thank you so much, Mrs. C, for that very insightful and wonderful talk. I'm sure all of us learned a lot. Do you agree with me, guys? Please type yes in the chat if you agree. Yeah, and as Miss Lucille, we have a here we go. I know some of you want more tips and advices from Miss Lucille, so we will just have a quick Q&A session from our participants. You can raise a virtual hand if you have a question in mind about what she had discussed. Maybe I will be picking at least two persons to ask Miss Lucille. All right, the floor is now open for questions, so please raise your virtual hand, and Miss Lucille will be glad to answer that. Okay, I see Miss Juliet de Guzman. You have a question?
Yeah, I have a question to our speaker. My question is, how can I make sure that the business I'm going to set up will be effective?
Thank you for your question, Juliet. So, I think one of the most important, and we have learned this in the past few years, would be to be passionate about the business idea. Not just about the idea, but about the business itself. Because if you're passionate, even if you don't have enough funds, even if it's challenging, because you love what you are doing, then it would give you power to continue even during challenging times. So I think that's really the most important. Um, do you guys have any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Hold on. So, could you share more of the things that we have to consider when starting our own business? Like, say, for example, you want to like start an online shop sa clothes, ganyan. Pwede mo i-discuss further yung stuff yun. Yung, kumbaga, like an outline maybe that you can share with us.
So you're asking like how to be able to ensure that the business that you're starting is going to be in demand. Is that right?
Like the things that we have that we have to consider other than the ones that you've mentioned. Like maybe
All right.
some tips and yeah. If for example I want to start an online shop and it's in clothing.
Okay. So aside from what I mentioned earlier, where you need to have most essential part of the business is what we call the feasibility study, because it really depends on the area where you want to start the business. So my main tip would be to go around, survey the people around the village, find out what is needed or what is lacking. So as an entrepreneur, we have to be able to find solutions to what is needed in the community. And when you supply something that is needed or required, then it would definitely kick off because it's something that they would need to buy.
Thank you.
And then another thing that you can consider would be, of course, your primary competitors in the business, which I think would be part of your feasibility study as well. How your market would be responding. So this is also part of feasibility studies. And then if you have like competitors, then you need to be able to identify solutions on how you would be able to compete healthily with these competitors and your target market. So you need to have a target market. So if it's high class, middle class, and so on. I hope that helped.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I know you learned a lot from our webinar entitled Investment 101. Once again, on behalf of BS Entrepreneurship students and our professor, we would like to express our gratitude and appreciation to Ms. Lucille Tolentino. Thank you so much for giving us her time despite of her busy schedule. Thank you, Ms. Lucille. All
Thank
right.
you.